Welcome to In the Moment with Kortia, where we inform, inspire, and motivate you to be a positive agent of change. We're on this terrific Tuesday, and it's feeling pretty fantastic in the studio today. Family, I just want to give a shout out to Central Louisiana and the surrounding areas. Natchitoches, Gina, Alexandria at 88.1 FM. Monroe, West Monroe on 98.9 FM. Shreveport, Greenwood on 92.5 FM. St. Joseph, Natchitoches, Mississippi on 99.3 FM, and Lake Charles on 100.1 FM. And remember, you can follow us throughout all of social media at In the Moment with Kortia, and also you can go to our website and leave us your questions or comments or visit our blog podcast at In the Moment with KortiaKuzan.com. That's In the Moment, KortiaKousin.com. I tell you, it's been already a great week as we started out yesterday on Motivational Monday, and we were really, I would definitely say, bringing the heat to really ignite your passions and your desires and everything that God has in store for you. And look, why don't you call in with your questions or comments, because guess what, family? We're going to be talking about newness of purpose on this terrific Tuesday. So call in at the local number at 318-484-2500 or toll free at 877-464-2500. And again, we're going to be talking about newness of purpose. And, something that's really interesting is that, out in this entire realm of society, across the face of this entire planet that we call Earth, no matter where you go, people are always trying to find out, okay, what is it? What's my purpose? Okay, what am I here for? Why am I supposed to do, or should I say, what am I supposed to do with my life? And, what is my primary reason for being? And a lot of individuals, unfortunately, they start to base their purpose or why they're here on this earth upon the opinions of others, maybe what everyone else is doing in their family or their immediate circle of friends, or they start developing their purpose as far as their places of employment. But a lot of individuals will tend to not lead fulfilled lives because they're not really going into the realm of why they truly are here on the face of this earth. Because some people actually believe that, hey, I'm just here for a temporary season. I'm just here to just stroll through life. And at the end of that life, that's it. It's over and done with. Well, God didn't place each and every one of us upon this earth to just have some type of lackadaisy type lifestyle where you just go ahead and you're always trying to figure out what's going to happen. Okay. We're here to actually exact change upon the face of this earth. We're here to be those positive agents of change. But the thing is that we need to actually find out exactly what God says about what our purpose is from that indwelling, still small voice we keep talking about, and not all with the opinions of what men may have. Now, can God actually direct you in what your purpose needs to be or what your purpose is through a person? Absolutely. But the thing is that most people out there, unfortunately, just like I did in the beginning, we try to seek what other people see in us instead of trying to have that one-on-one conversation time with the Holy Spirit so that he can let us know exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And then some people that actually jump into finding their purpose, hey, this is what I really love. They get into it. They say, hey, I know what I'm supposed to do. They go full speed into it. And I mean, it's just like you're getting into a NASCAR, one of those NASCAR races. And they go from 0 to 150, in however many seconds it takes. And they're going full-fledged, full bore into it. But then you have other individuals that, they get on there. It's like, okay, let's start out with the tricycle, all right? Then we're going to go to the bike with the training wheels, and we're going to take the training wheels off, and, progression. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, no matter which way you start, don't stop, okay? You may have to slow down to tweak some things as far as, your life, your purpose-driven life, to have this newness of your purpose. But what's really evident is that you should never stop. You should continually, go forward. But then the thing that's really evident is this. When you're going along your pathway of purpose, when you're going along to realizing exactly why you are here upon this earth, okay, something may happen that may seem to get you off track. Well, it's okay to actually backtrack, all right? It's okay, just like if you're going down the interstate in your vehicle. and all of a sudden, that GPS is messed up on you or whatever thing that you're using to find direction, and you've got to pull over to the side of the road to just regroup, to recalibrate. It's the same thing like with your sense of purpose, okay? With that newness of your purpose. You've got to sometimes just pull off to the side, okay? Sit there, do a recalibration, readjust, do what you need to do to get you right back on track. Because it's one thing, how I said, some people just get in it and go full-fledged ahead, but then a lot of people that actually speed up and go full steam ahead with their purpose, what ends up happening? They go through it. They make a lot of different mistakes that come about. They may make, traction, they may get ahead, but then, once they get to a certain level and it's still success, but then, they kind of look back and say, man, if I would have just taken this time to just reevaluate this step or reevaluate that step, if I would have taken time on this pathway of this newness of my purpose and built this relationship here, how I could have led to this avenue in my life. So look, there are benefits to both ends, but then there are downturns to both sides. But, it's going to depend on you as an individual to actually find that happy medium. And, how it says in the Bible in James about when a man lacks wisdom, okay, let him ask of God. So through this entire area of finding our purpose, we need to literally be seeking God in, every facet of it. I don't care how small you think it is or how large you think it is. I mean, to God, it's like all even keeled. It's on the same level. And he continually wants to, he's open to waiting for us to actually seek him in this pathway of purpose that he actually has us on. But the key thing is that, like I said, we don't need to try to lose ourselves in this, okay? A lot of us, when we're on our pathway to purpose, it's that, how can I verbalize this? It's like some people that when they're going along their purpose and things are starting to go well, and that's everyone. I'm not talking about saved. I'm talking about not talking about unsaved, whatever. Everyone, it tends to happen to where you go to a certain level, you really truly find out why you're being placed upon this earth. And it seems like, wow, man, this is kind of easy. I'm like on cruise control. All of these different things are happening for me. All of these blessings are happening. And then all of a sudden, that's when, like I tell people all the time, you need God more so in your blessing than you need do when you're going through. Why? Because you tend to start letting your guard down, and what ends up happening in the beginning when things are going so smooth, the big head syndrome starts to kick in. The pride thing starts to kick in. We start to look at the self mode about, wow, look at all that I've been doing. And, we start to tend to leave God out of the equation. But then all of a sudden, what ends up happening? On that pathway of going to our purpose, that newness of purpose, just like we're using a car on the interstate, you get a flat tire or something becomes out of alignment. But then what ends up happening? You don't have a spare in your purpose, your life's purpose of it being in the trunk of that vehicle, and then you're sitting there stuck, no battery and no power in that so-called cell phone that you may have, and you're like, well, wow, what am I going to do? Then all of a sudden you're like, Lord, help me. But see, why is it that when we're going towards this newness of purpose that we don't continually go at the rate of speed or we keep going along the same pathway that God has established? Why is it that we always seem to try to tweak it, to try to change it, to try to shift things like we're going to improve upon what God has already given us? And look, like I say, I'm first partaker. I've done it many times. And sometimes even now I've got to catch myself and even say, okay, I'm trying to jump in the driver's seat and get God back in the passenger seat. Well, can't do that because it's basically to where when I start to try to take control, God's just going to be right there. He's going to say, here, if you want it, take the wheel. Take the wheel, go down this pathway of purpose, and I'm just going to sit back and let you drive. But the thing is that, we're going to drive based upon, our own understanding and not God's understanding of where he wants to take us. And, it's amazing how he just showed on yesterday about praying for certain things. And, my wife and I were always talking about what we call like a domino effect, to where when one domino falls, when one great thing happens in your life, when one thing really elevates or excels your purpose, it's not that it goes to the next domino that's the same size. It goes to dominoes that get bigger and bigger. So just give you a visual. I want to give you this great visual, before we even go into break. Think of dominoes lined up, okay? Think of dominoes to represent your purpose, okay? This journey in life where you're going. But as you knock one domino down because you take that step, it goes to the next domino. But it's not the same size, just like a regular domino game would be. The next domino is bigger. You knock that domino down and it gets bigger. And it goes on and on and on. But what's really key about this is that when you're fully walking in your purpose, when you're fully doing what God has called you to do, as the dominoes fall and they get bigger and bigger, they get so big to where you only hear the sound of the dominoes falling. You can't even see the top, the sides, the bottom, anything. All you hear is the boom each and every time something happens. And that boom literally is just opening, even more territory, even more avenues for God to be able to bless you, even more, ways for him to be glorified. But what? It all depends upon how we allow ourselves to be guided in this newness of purpose. And you know something? God would equate this newness of purpose to what? You being in your moment. And I mean, it's really, really key, because sometimes we can actually turn around and find out exactly just how through this entire pathway, this entire journey, all the steps that we've been taking, just how God has been with us each and every step of the way. That's why it's so evident that really, if you really think about it, if you really focus on it, that poem Footprints, and how the hardest times that when you thought you were alone and when he was carrying you, God was saying, guess what? I was always with you in your moment. And God's just letting you know through this newness of purpose that you have, he's going to continue to be right there for you. And when we come back from break, we're going to get right into it. Stay in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. We're on this terrific Tuesday and we're talking about a newness of purpose. And it's exciting up in here. We're talking about the steps necessary to help you go along the pathway of really discovering that newness of purpose, how to maintain that newness of purpose, and really excelling in that newness of purpose. Family, why don't you call to the radio station with your questions or comments on a local number, 318-484-2500, or toll free at 877-464-2500. And like I said again on this terrific Tuesday, newness of purpose. Now, one of the things that you may have to do as far as like when it comes to your purpose is rediscovering what your purpose really is. You might say, well, thought I was on my purpose, but then it seems like I got derailed and don't know which direction to go into. Very simple. To find out what your purpose is, okay, to find out what your gifting is, let's just take a step back. Find out what it is, or think about what you enjoy doing more than anything. Really, enjoy doing more than anything. What have you been doing that's actually been a benefit to helping others? That you've heard it before. That thing that you'll do that if you could do it all your life, even if you didn't get paid for it, that would be like your purpose, or that would be your gifting. That would be the thing that God is actually showing you if you actually grow it and mature in it and allow it just expand through every fiber of your being, and how he could actually show you how to go forward with that. Now, we've had so many examples. If you've heard people say, and I've used example as far as like people that wash cars, grass cutting. I think I used the example of the individual that back home where we came from used to cut my hair. Okay, the guy or whatever graduated from high school but had no desire to get further education. But I mean, with one pair of clippers and one little bottle of oil that would just keep him lube, went from house to house. Okay, house to house with a pair of clippers that he kept in his beat up looking like suitcase that looked like it needed to be in a garbage dump somewhere. But he decided with his rusted car that he had, he went from house to house. And I'm not talking about just in his neighborhood. He went within a 20-mile radius going from house to house cutting hair. And I mean, this was like in the late 80s, early 90s, and he was actually cutting hair, possibly sometimes $3 to $10, no matter how much it was. But what ended up happening? He did that for 2 years, gas, everything else, getting his name out there, going from house to house, no matter how far it was, no matter sometimes people didn't pay him. He went from house to house. But what ended up happening? The end result, he saved up enough money to get maybe a little, and this is probably a little 500 square foot spot just for himself, to where he had one chair in there, and then he had 10 separate chairs for people to sit down. But because of what he did within those 2 years, he opened his barbershop at 8 o'clock in the morning, and because his clientele got built up to such a level, he started cutting hair at 8 o'clock in the morning, and many, many days he didn't finish till about 11 p.m., 12 o'clock in the morning. Can you imagine that? And did that so consistently that within 2 years after that, he had to have his brother to come in. A year after that business was so good, he had to have another individual come in. And a year after that, he had to start building his own spot. And now, this particular guy that started out from those humble beginnings of walking into what his purpose is, his God-given talent. He's got 6 chairs under him. He's got a salon for nails and everything on the side. I mean, he handles different type of media events in the area where we came from. Trust me when I tell you this, from starting out with 1 pair of clippers, this guy is really showing the epitome of success. And all he did was say, you know something, I did what I loved. I did what I was doing for free at one point in time. And now look how the Lord is actually blessing me. So how many of us are overlooking our purpose just because we don't think it's something that's going to make a dramatic effect? And, I didn't mention how at times he can actually have words to be able to share and encourage with individuals. And he's got that drive, he's got that commitment, he's got that passion, and he's been able to help so many others. And, what is it that's going to reignite your purpose, okay? So start looking at the basics in your life, all right? You can call it like boot camp. That's what I like to call it. What's actually going to take you to get those fundamental basics in your life, to get into that newness of purpose, to really catapult you into what God is actually taking you into. Now, I know a lot of us, we've got that fear factor. We've been trying through this entire broadcast since its inception, since we got started, to actually get you off of fear, okay? Fear, that false evidence appearing real. That's all it is, okay? That illusion that keeps being placed in front of you. And we know a lot of us know that the main things that we hold on to right now that stop us from going forward in our purpose, twofold, to where it's going to be either finances or that self-doubt, okay? I've seen that has to be the 2 main things in our life, finances and self-doubt. Because if it's finances, you're going to say, well, if I don't have the money, I can't get started. Or you may have the money, you might say, well, I don't have the skills, talents, or the ability, or how people are going to look at me if I choose to go into this. Or someone may come up and tell you, everyone's already doing that, so why do you think they're going to choose you? Okay? Sometimes when we're going into this newness of purpose, just like what I tell a lot of people, God may have placed something in your heart. And then someone may try to come and they may think that they're doing good and trying to go ahead and warn you or thinking about what's going to be best for you so you don't get hurt. But look, if it was meant for them to walk along the same pathway of purpose that God has given you, God would have shared the same dream and vision with them. Okay? If God gives it to you, it's not for everyone else. God eventually will allow people along this pathway, along this newness of purpose that you have, to actually connect with you. And I mean, your passion that you have, think about your passion. If you're really passionate about something, your passion is really going to lead you in the right direction, because what you're already doing, what you love to do. And then God's going to show you through your passion of loving what you already need to do to actually find prosperity in that thing, okay? And your prosperity is not simply because for you to actually gain a great income from it, which is going to be one of the factors, but it's actually going to allow you to be that positive agent of change that God is actually causing you to be. Look, I tell you, if my wife, she would get on one of these microphones and she'd tell you right now with this passion of purpose that God has placed us on, this newness of purpose, it's not a chore to actually, well, I'm going to say, at least for me in the most part, it's not a chore getting up in the moments, but she'll tell you, she just said it's not. To where you can get up in the moment and you don't have to say, oh my Lord, motivation, here I go. Okay, you're slapping yourself on the face. Okay, it's another day at work. It's another day doing this. Okay, I can do it. And by the time you're finished, you just spent like half your bathroom time to start out in the mornings to really just, get yourself motivated to even take that first step to go, and then you're the super fast brushing of your teeth and everything. But look, when you are doing something that you're passionate about, just like with us right now, it's amazing that you can get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go and do all these different things, and you're doing what God has called you to do, and you're walking in your passion, you're passionate about what you're doing, you're in your purpose, and you start at 3 and you turn around, and it's like 12 noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're like, oh my Lord, what happened to the day? It's like you're flowing so much so and doing these things and you're accomplishing so many different things. But then you look, same hours you had in a day previously, but now because you're passionate about what you're doing, you're passionate about your purpose, everything is flowing. It even seems like to me, and I'm sure my wife will echo this, I mean, you feel better in your body, the clouds going from your mind. It's like you can verbalize so many different things. I mean, it just translates and it just touches off into so many areas of your life. But why? It's because of flowing in that passion of the purpose that you have. And you definitely need to discover what actually ignites your passion, because that's your real job here on this earth. Actually let it light you up, and then you find a way to share it with other people. Let your purpose be the thing that ignites you. I mean, it has you ablaze. And I know you're going to run into those people, what I like to call those deadheads, and you're just so excited. They're like, wow, it doesn't really take all that. Yes, it takes all that. Because if you allow someone to actually diminish your fire that's on the inside of you, to actually try to quench and try to put some water on the flame that God has instilled on the inside of you, then guess what? You're going to find out that you're going to start slowing down. You're going to find out you're going to start rationalizing why you're not going as fast and not as passionate as what you were before. And then all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself in this place called stuck, not moving forward. So let your passion continue to be flame, because why? As I said before, you will be the catalyst to ignite others, because they may not say anything, and I'm going to say this over and over and over, but people are watching your lives to determine should they go forward into the purpose that God has called them to do. And when they see God working in you, because you may have come from the same type of background as they have, then guess what? They're really going to go ahead and jump into what God's called them to be. So look, we're talking about this newness of purpose. We're talking about this newness of you. You can verbalize it however you want to. But what? Don't be still. Don't be stagnant. And please don't get that cesspool mindset, okay? Walk into the newness of purpose and allow God to take you where he wants to take you. You're in your moment. Capitalize on it and go forward in it. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. We're talking about the purpose, or should I say the newness of purpose on today, on this terrific Tuesday. And look, man, I tell you, the Holy Spirit's definitely been moving with this great subject matter that we have up in here, and how it not only has it been speaking to, me, I know it's actually hitting you right where you are, and why don't you call in with those questions or comments on the radio station, local number 318-484-2500, and toll free at 877-464-2500. And again, on this terrific Tuesday, newness of purpose. And what I really want to jump into right now is that we can have this purpose, okay? We can have our purpose laid out for us. But you know something? Purpose is like your pathway, okay? Think about this. You're walking, you got this journey. You've got like this fork or whatever in the road. And you need to actually choose exactly which direction you should go into. And a lot of times, if we're being real with ourselves, the path that we're going to actually choose is always going to be that path of least resistance. Okay, let's just be real. It's going to be that path of least resistance. It's nicely paved. You've got your coffee shop on one side. You got your little food location on the other side. And then all of a sudden you see someone, with some nice transportation to actually help you go a little bit faster where you don't have to do too much walking. But then on the other side, you've got to go up some hills, sharp rocks, some thorn bushes and everything that are right there. You have to go into maybe stop, have a little type of hardcore outside gym set, along the way. And it seems like, wow, who would actually want to go that way? It seems like you got some dangers there. You might have some pitfalls. You might have people that you see that are just waiting to start talking about you. But then a lot of us, just because of what it looks like from the outside, we take that easy route. But if you notice any single thing about what's been going on in your life right now, along this path that you're on this newness of purpose, it's never been sunshine and clovers each and every day. I would even dare to say that 2/3 of this journey that you've been on thus far has been something that has actually grabbed you, to mold you, to shape you. And many of those times have been what we would call or classify as bad times. And God had to allow me to see, something, about the words that come out of my mouth, because this is something that I've had struggled with. I was like always, oh man, I'm going to be sick, or this is going to be a bad day, or man, not ever going to have money. You fit in where you get in on that particular topic, okay? So God allowed me to say, something, you have every single thing that's coming out of your mouth. So when we're in a situation and we're not trying to figure out exactly or let God show us exactly how we're supposed to grow it from this, how we're supposed to be equipped from this, how we're supposed to use these instances, these examples to actually help us on our pathway, to help develop our purpose, on this newness of purpose, and if we keep treating it as something that's bad, then guess what? It's going to be bad. It's going to be a weight that's actually going to begin to continually crush us. I'm talking to somebody right now. You're right there in your moment because you've been trying to figure this out. You've been taking all of these things that have been happening to you, and you've been heaping all of these things right on top of you right now as a weight. But you know something? Instead of putting it on your shoulders to let it push you down to like bury you, it's almost like if you're in a gym bench pressing, for any of you who've ever done that, and you're taking this and you've got all of this weight over you, but guess what? It's like on one of those Smith machines to where the bar is locked in and you can control how you push the weight up. But what? On the weights system, you put as much weight on the Smith machine as you want. Talking to somebody right now. God is your burden bearer and your problem solver. So the weight that you put on the Smith machine is the weight that what? You can handle to what? Strengthen you up on this pathway, on this journey that you have. Any weight that you don't want to have on there is the weight that God's going to carry for you. Oh, somebody should just got set free on that one. But what? On this pathway that we actually have, this pathway of purpose that God has taken us, we have to see that it's just a journey. And along this journey, sometimes you might have to figure that this journey can actually be verbalized as a mission. Everything that we're doing, okay, every step that we're taking is about a mission. A mission to actually be that positive agent of change, to not only do what God has called us to do, to flourish in that gifting that's on the inside of us, but to touch individuals, to touch different areas, to touch regions. I mean, really, we are only limited, and this is going to be something for us, so big for someone. We are only limited about how great our purpose is based upon our thought process, our level of imagination, our level of being able to receive what God wants to give us. Okay, can you literally, just think about this. Some of us talk about we've got this cup to receive from God, but think about like this little pastry bag, okay, that a baker may use, and it's at the end of your cup, and it's being squeezed inside of your cup, squeezed in your cup. But the top portion of that pastry bag, just think about the universe. Just think about looking at the universe, and it just goes all the way out to the universe, all right? And it's got that little bitty point at the bottom to give you what you can receive, but God has the entire realm of the universe that he wants to give to you. But what? Everything that we can receive, like I said, that goes along with our purpose and what he wants us to go into is going to be limited by how we are able to receive what he has in store. And what? Sometimes we need to actually establish goals in our life, okay? A lot of us don't want to talk about goals because, goals take effort and it goes back to work. It really does. It goes back to work. And a lot of you, there he goes, that dirty 4-letter word again. He's talking about work. Hey, I told you, no matter what phase of life you're on, it's going to take work, okay? I don't care if you're at the beginning. I don't care if you're at the middle. I don't care if you think that you're close to the end. It's going to take work. But those goals are going to be, like I said, those markers in the road, okay? Those stops along the way to actually help you to keep track of where you are in this newness of purpose, okay? Because a lot of us don't actually realize we're going in this thing blinded. It's almost like a horse that you see that's pulling a carriage with blinders on. Some of us just want to go ahead in and we just want to run. But then we don't take note of exactly, what's going on as far as like in our life. And we all of the time, we all say, a lot of people as far as like in the church, just think, How many times you ever heard somebody that's been in a church for like 30, 40, 50, 60 years and someone that just got in the church maybe 5 years and all this stuff is happening in the new person's life and they're like, wow, why is this stuff never happened to me? I've been saved for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Why? Because you've gone on with blinders on just thinking that, hey, if I just get in here and do the same thing over and over and over, you think that's developing your purpose. But these particular individuals that just get new inside the church, okay, God, I need you to guide me in this. I know you've got your hand upon me. I know this is my purpose. I know exactly where you're guiding me, where you're taking me. But you know something? They're allowing God to take them step by step, okay? They're getting instruction prior to going into their newness of purpose, as opposed to going into their own aspect of thinking what their newness of purpose is, and then later going to God and say, okay, God, I need some course correction. See, we really have to be tactical about this, all right? Just like in a game, just like when the coach is going to draw out the plan, lay out the game plan for you and say, hey, I need you to go ahead over here. Let's get a fast break over there. You know, I got the Angels over here blocking for you. But what? A lot of times, just like some people, you know, we want to take the ball from God. And what? We want to be the quote unquote ball hog. And until, you know, we feel that we cannot do it on our own, then we want to go say, okay, God, I need some help. And then, you know, a lot of times by that time, we've gotten so bogged down, we've got so far out in that dry desert place to where we lose exactly where we were in the beginning. And that's when we've got to backtrack. Seems like we're starting almost over again, okay? And then God has to get us right back on task to get, you know, to walk into that purpose that he has for our life. But, you know, if you can actually remember, listen to me, if you can actually remember why you started, then you'll actually know why you continue, okay? That's really powerful. If you can actually remember why you started, then you'll actually know why you are going to continue, okay? You have to keep it in the forefront of your mind why you are doing what you are doing, okay? This just cannot be a shoot from the hip, hey, I'm just going to try this thing and I'm just going to see if it works out. No, okay? Falls into the realm of shoulda, coulda, woulda, all right? If some of you right now feel like you haven't been making headway, okay, this is a tidbit for you. This is to identify where you are right now in your moment. Are you just going through the moments? Are you just doing shoulda, coulda, woulda? Are you doing something because someone else told you, I feel that this is good for you, okay? Are you actually walking in your newness of purpose? Are you actually walking into the plan and purpose that God has for your life? Are you actually really absorbing and taking full value of the moment that God has you in? Family, you're in your moment. This is the time, this is the season, this is the plan, this is the right now. Stay in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. On this terrific Tuesday, we're talking about newness of purpose. And before we went to break, we were talking about having different goals and actually remembering why you are actually on this path of purpose that God has placed you upon. And, you know, a couple good examples that I actually want to give you. Just think about it, okay? We're in our jobs, okay? You're in your job. You might be working somewhere, and people just think that their purpose is just like really small, or that they're not called to do much. Say like if you are a waitress, you know, working, or a server, you know, whatever the terminology that they may use for right now, someone that's serving in the food industry. But then, of course, you might say, well, what could I do? I'm just someone that's living off tips, this, you know, under minimum wage. How could I have this great purpose or whatever in my life? Did you ever think that God has you in that particular place to actually make connections with people? Why? Because a lot of times people, whether you realize it or not, when you're in the service industry, there are always people that are checking out people in the service industry, just like I did, to where they look at your character, they look and see if you're happy, that you're smiling, they look and see what type of, you know, confidence that you exude. And a lot of people have had a lot of great opportunities that have actually come from that. I mean, for example, let me see, what's that show that started? The American Idol thing that started years ago. That's exactly how Kelly Clarkson, is that her name? That's how Kelly Clarkson was discovered in a restaurant in Texas because, you know, she actually went over and did a little bit above to where as she served her guests, you know, they actually had a segment to where they actually broke out in song every so often. And just so happened Someone discovered her, and then, of course, long story short, now she's successful. But what is it that's going to get you to have your moment? What's going to cause you to be in your moment? What are you going to do when you're in there and you recognize the opportunity to actually, when you could actually hear someone as far as like talking about a business deal and they're stumped on it, and then all of a sudden you have knowledge in that particular area, and just because you are serving them their tea or their water, whatever it may be, you actually politely, interject, and you're able to go ahead and give them a tidbit that just gives them the answer. You never know what type of opportunities that God has in store for you to get you along, get you on your pathway, to get you into that newness of purpose. And then, a really great thing about that is that there's so many stories about people that have been in some type of area like that, no matter whether it was an individual, the story of the individual that now, if you've never heard of 1-800-JUNK, left his job, got fired from jobs, had his last money, all of a sudden was in a drive-through at a local fast food restaurant and saw this pickup truck with junk all in the back. And he was just like to himself, wow. He just kept looking at the truck, and he was just like, wow, why is this sticking out to me? And then all of a sudden, as it drove off, he was just like, as he saw a piece of junk fall out the back of his truck, he just said, wow, I could do this a lot better than this individual. So he decided to get around with the local businesses that had junk in there on their premises, got himself a truck with the last money he had, went around, started making these little, rinky-dinky flyers that he actually hand wrote, posting them up. People started calling him. It started to grow beyond what he could possibly handle, started hiring people, got another rundown truck. But then, long story short, years later, 1-800-JUNK, all throughout, North America, and are starting to go around the world, just from getting the idea of finding out a desire that he had to pick up junk, things that people didn't want, and now a multi-millionaire. It's a lot of different things that happen for people out there, but you know something? It's just like we talked about opportunities that are in front of you. There are many opportunities that are going to present themselves when you're going to newness of purpose, but it means that you actually have to be actively looking, as we said before, but you know something? You have to be actively flowing in your purpose, okay? Opportunities jump up when you really are flowing in your purpose more than anything. Yes, can it happen outside of your purpose? Absolutely. But from what I've known, from a track record in my life, a track record in my family's life, that the opportunities that generally pop up in your life will literally steer you right back to whatever your purpose is when they pop up. And I mean, it's amazing how God is, because how I said before, you have to be a tactician when it comes to your purpose and walking into your newness of purpose. But even more so, where do you think you're getting the strategies for that? God is the author and finisher of our faith, and he's orchestrating things to make sure that you actually stay along the right path, if you're truly his, to where you can flow and receive all that he has in store for you. Why? Not just for self, but why? He said that I'm going to bless you to be a blessing. I mean, that's primarily the main focus of this when you're going into the newness of your purpose. And think, so many of us out there right now, okay, and I'm not going to call out people, but there are so many people that don't say, I'm not flipping burgers, I'm not doing this. But you may have a skill. Okay, you may have a skill to cook. You may have a skill to pick up things very quickly. You may have a skill to relate to people. You may have a skill to train people. But then all of a sudden you back there flipping burgers, okay? Let me let you know something about the food industry, okay? The main part of the food industry is if you have the operations down in the food industry, you've got 80% of the game taken care of right there. That's the main aspect of the food industry, operations. So if you got the operational capacity and you get in there and you flipping those burgers, but then all of a sudden someone takes note of you, and then you go up to like a management position, and from an in-store management position you go to an outside management position, to where you go to a corporate management position, and you progress, and then all of a sudden you get this opportunity to be a franchise owner. But what ended up happening, you started out minimum wage flipping burgers, but because you were so good at it and picked up so well at it, then what happened? God was showing you that newness of purpose. And a lot of us, like I say, we miss different things because why? We don't want to look bad in front of our friends. Our friends are doing this and doing that, but if I have a job here or I go along this way, I don't want to look foolish in front of them. Well, what ends up happening right now? Think of where you are right now. Are your friends paying your bills? Are your friends buying your food? Are your friends putting gas in your vehicle? Are your friends right there if your kids are being sick, taking them to the doctor on a continual basis? Okay? Think about that. Is it right now, at this time, in this moment, this is a great time for you to actually make that decision to get, back on track, to reevaluate the course that you're on, to get back into that newness of purpose. And men, I want you to listen to this, especially you husbands out there. A lot of you right now on this newness of purpose, you're wondering why things aren't happening in your life. You're wondering why you have so much turmoil in your life. And I see how God's ending this up. You want to know exactly why you've got so much turmoil in your life. And you come home and your wife's like asking you, baby, what can I do to help you? How can I help you in this particular area? And you come home and you think that she's always nagging at you. I mean, why is this woman not giving me peace? Why she's not doing this? But if you've really studied your Bible, okay, if you've really been in your word, and I'm not putting anyone down, but if you got a sense of anything that God's doing, before God even gave Adam a mate, God gave Adam work to do. There was work before there was a mate. So it said that when the wife came, she became the help meet. So naturally, if your first role was to work and do what God's called you to do, that work being your purpose, he sent your mate, he sent your wife along what? To complement and help you in that work. That's why she's always seeking to actually be of service and a benefit to you. That's why, guys, I'm setting some of you ladies free out there right now, right there in your moment. That's why, men, to where if you are flowing in your purpose, if you're flowing in the pathway that God has actually given you, then guess what? You'd be amazed at how so many things are going to start lining up in your life. You'd be amazed at how once you start actually working in what God has called you to do, how your wife is going to just fit right in, how, quote unquote, she's just going to get with the program. You're not going to have to actually think about the things that you need to do. If you are doing what God has called you to do, everything will start to line up. It will not line up exactly the way you want, but it will start lining up. But it's about you flowing in that newness of purpose. It's about you seeing the greatness that's in you. Don't be, like I said, one of the greatest people that I've actually got tutelage from and reading books, videos, Dr. Miles Monroe. Don't allow that when you come to that day and time, when you're laying down in your bed and you're 80, 90 years old, and you're trying to recall your life, and then God gives this visual right in front of you of everything that he wanted to give you, and you may have missed out on it, and you've gone just so far in your purpose and tried to run like a sprint in the beginning, but then on the end, he wanted you to run that marathon, and he shows you all the things that you could have accomplished instead of opposing the things that you did accomplish. Allow God to take you through each and every moment of your life in this newness of purpose. God keeps saying that he'll never leave you or forsake you. And as I said with the Footprints poem in the beginning, most of our lives, he's carrying us. He's carrying us in each and every moment. So what are you going to do on this day? Are you going to go into your newness of purpose? Are you going to stay in your moment? Are you going to allow God to show you just how great you are in him? And when we come back tomorrow on that Halfway There Wednesday, we're going to get right back into just how God's going to keep you in your moment.